Feijoada. Feijoada is one of the most iconic dishes in Brazil and is widely considered the country's national meal. It is a slow-cooked stew made with black beans and several different cuts of pork, including sausage, ribs, salted pork, and sometimes smoked meats. Everything simmers together for hours, allowing the beans to absorb the rich flavors of the meat. The dish is traditionally served with white rice, sautéed collard greens, farofa made from toasted cassava flour, and slices of fresh orange. The oranges help balance the heaviness of the stew and add a refreshing contrast. Feijoada is often linked to Portuguese cooking traditions, particularly bean stews brought by settlers during the colonial period. Over time, the recipe adapted to local ingredients and tastes, becoming uniquely Brazilian. Today, feijoada is commonly eaten on weekends when families gather for a long meal that can last several hours. Restaurants across Brazil often serve it on Saturdays, turning the dish into a social tradition as much as a culinary one. Pão de queijo. Pão de queijo is a small baked cheese bread that originated in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. The recipe is simple but distinctive, made with cassava starch instead of wheat flour, along with eggs, milk, oil, and grated cheese. This combination creates a dough that expands in the oven, producing a crisp outer layer and a soft, chewy interior. The use of cassava starch reflects the deep influence of indigenous Brazilian ingredients in the country's cuisine. Cassava has been a staple crop in Brazil for centuries, long before European colonization. Pão de queijo became especially popular in rural areas of Minas Gerais, where dairy production was abundant and cheese was widely available. Today, it is eaten throughout Brazil at breakfast, during afternoon coffee breaks, or as a quick snack during the day. Bakeries often bake batches throughout the morning so they can be served warm. Its comforting texture and simple flavor have helped it become one of the most recognizable foods in Brazilian daily life. Coxinha. Coxinha is one of Brazil's most famous savory snacks and is commonly found in bakeries, cafes, street stalls, and snack bars across the country. The name coxinha means little thigh, referring to its traditional teardrop shape that resembles a chicken drumstick. The dough is prepared using flour and a flavorful chicken broth, which gives it a rich taste even before the filling is added. Inside, shredded chicken is mixed with soft cheese or cream cheese, creating a creamy and savory center. Once filled, the dough is shaped, coated with breadcrumbs, and deep-fried until golden and crisp. The contrast between the crunchy outer shell and the soft filling is what makes coxinha so satisfying. Stories about its origin vary, but many trace it back to São Paulo during the late 19th century. Over time, it spread throughout the country and became a staple snack at birthday parties, school events, and casual gatherings. Acarajé. Acarajé is a traditional dish from the northeastern state of Bahia and carries strong connections to Afro-Brazilian culture. It is made from black-eyed peas that are peeled, grounded to a paste, and shaped into balls before being fried in hot palm oil known as dendê. This oil gives the dish its characteristic color and deep flavor. Once fried, the fritter is sliced open and filled with a mixture of ingredients that often includes vatapá, a rich paste made with bread, shrimp, coconut milk, peanuts, and spices. It may also include spicy pepper sauce and dried shrimp. The origins of acarajé trace back to West African cooking traditions brought to Brazil during the transatlantic slave trade. In Bahia, the dish is often sold by women dressed in traditional white clothing, reflecting its cultural and religious significance within Afro-Brazilian communities. Eating acarajé is not only about the food itself, but also about experiencing a tradition that connects Brazil to its African heritage. Moqueca. Moqueca is a flavorful seafood stew that highlights the coastal influence on Brazilian cuisine. The dish is usually prepared with fish or shrimp cooked slowly with tomatoes, onions, garlic, peppers, and fresh herbs. Coconut milk and palm oil give the stew its creamy texture and aromatic richness. The ingredients are gently simmered together, allowing the seafood to absorb the flavors of the broth without becoming overcooked. Moqueca is typically prepared and served in a clay pot, which helps distribute heat evenly and enhances the flavor. There are two well-known regional variations of the dish. Moqueca Baiana from Bahia includes coconut milk and palm oil, creating a vibrant and bold flavor. Moqueca Capixaba from the state of Espírito Santo uses olive oil and annatto seeds instead, producing a lighter but still deeply aromatic broth. Both versions are usually served with white rice and sometimes pirão, a thick sauce made by mixing fish broth with cassava flour. Brigadeiro. Brigadeiro is one of the most beloved desserts in Brazil and is almost always present at birthday parties and celebrations. The dessert is made by slowly cooking condensed milk, cocoa powder, and butter together until the mixture thickens into a smooth and creamy consistency. Once it cools slightly, the mixture is rolled into small balls and coated with chocolate sprinkles. The result is a rich and sweet confection with a soft texture that melts in the mouth. Brigadeiro first became popular in the 1940s during a political campaign in Brazil. Supporters of a military candidate known as Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes created the sweet and sold it to raise funds. Although the campaign eventually ended, the dessert remained and quickly became part of Brazilian culture. Over the decades, many variations have appeared, including versions made with coconut, pistachio, or different types of chocolate, but the traditional chocolate brigadeiro remains the most widely loved. Pastel. Pastel is a crispy fried pastry filled with savory ingredients and commonly sold at street markets known as feiras. The dough is rolled thin and filled with ingredients such as cheese, seasoned ground beef, chicken, or heart of palm before being folded and deep fried. When fried, the pastry forms small air bubbles on its surface, giving it a distinctive texture that is light and crunchy. Pastel is especially associated with open-air markets, where vendors prepare them fresh and serve them hot to customers walking through the stalls. The dish was influenced by Asian immigrants, particularly Japanese and Chinese communities in Brazil who adapted traditional fried pastry techniques to local ingredients and tastes. A classic pairing with pastel is a glass of freshly pressed sugarcane juice, which provides a sweet and refreshing contrast to the salty pastry. Farofa. Farofa is a toasted mixture made primarily from cassava flour and is one of the most common side dishes in Brazilian meals. The flour is gently toasted in a pan with butter or oil, creating a crumbly texture that adds contrast to softer foods like rice and beans. Many variations exist, with ingredients such as bacon, sausage, onions, eggs, or herbs added to enhance the flavor. Farofa is especially common at large gatherings and barbecues, where it is served alongside grilled meats. The dish reflects the importance of cassava in Brazilian cooking. Cassava has been cultivated in South America for thousands of years and remains one of the country's most essential ingredients. Although farofa may seem simple, it plays an important role in balancing the textures of a Brazilian meal. Tapioca. Tapioca in Brazil refers to a thin pancake made from hydrated cassava starch. When the starch is spread across a hot pan, the small granules stick together and form a flexible white crepe without the need for eggs or flour. The pancake is then filled with a variety of ingredients, both sweet and savory. Popular fillings include cheese, coconut, chocolate, condensed milk, or shredded chicken. Tapioca is especially common in the northeastern region of Brazil, where it has long been part of daily life. Street vendors often prepare it fresh on flat griddles, folding the pancake over its filling and serving it warm. Because it contains no wheat, tapioca has also become popular among people looking for gluten-free options. Despite its simple preparation, it represents a long tradition of cassava-based cooking that predates colonial times. Baião de dois. Baião de dois is a traditional dish from northeastern Brazil that combines rice and beans cooked together in the same pot. The beans are usually cowpeas, which are widely grown in the region. As the rice cooks, it absorbs the flavor of the beans, creating a rich and comforting mixture. The dish often includes ingredients such as dried meat, sausage, onions, garlic, and herbs. Pieces of local cheese are sometimes added at the end, melting slightly into the rice. Baião de dois developed as a practical meal for rural communities where ingredients needed to be simple, filling, and easy to prepare in large quantities. Over time, it became one of the most representative dishes of northeastern Brazilian cuisine. Today, it appears in both home kitchens and restaurants, offering a taste of the region's history and agricultural traditions.